Well, good afternoon and welcome to the St. George's Cricket Club, where the president of the St. George's Cricket Club, Mr. Neil Paynter, along with members of his executive committee, are here to make a statement. Good afternoon, Mr. Paynter.
Good afternoon, members of the media. Good afternoon, Bermuda. I come here as president of St. George's Cricket Club, flanked with my committee members, to set the record straight on why we wanted to play cup match and why we're not going to play. The process started in early January when we announced that we will be hosting the annual cup match. We met with Somerset, we told them that we're going to do it, and then we started the planning process. The reason why we wanted to have cup match, it was all about the people. It was always about safety with us being in this pandemic. It was not, from a St. George's Cricket Club point of view, about money or finances. Last year, when cup match was unfortunately cancelled due to the pandemic, the host, as host Somerset, made the decision to cancel cup match, leaving the need for safety. We at St. George's Cricket Club fully supported them because as the host, they had an understanding of what had to be done. So as such, we supported their decision. As we moved along in this project, Somerset were very aware of every planning process, everything that would have to be done. We advised them all along the way. We included them probably more than we have ever included Somerset Cricket Club, because usually we're only 3 times a year, but we, through Zoom meetings, through emails, we always included them in the process. We recognize that this is the most celebrated holiday in the year. Remember, when this was started, cricket was just a part. It was a picnic where they were celebrating the emancipation of slaves. And they had to play a pickup match. In 1902, it formally became a match between St. George's and Somerset Cricket Club. And the legacy has continued forthwith until last year, it was unfortunately cancelled. We as St. George's Cricket Club realized that the country needs cup match. It's a feel-good factor. The amount of laws we have experienced over the last year, cup match is a huge part of our culture. We wanted this for everyone, not only St. George's Cricket Club. Cup match is something that gives us hope. Cup match is something that we come together 2 days of the year. We realize that people have lost their jobs, have lost loved ones, have lost their homes, etc. We felt that at least for 2 days of the year, we would host an event that would bring Bermuda together and make everyone feel good, if not for only 2 days, for the rest of the year. Get a little emotional right now. I'm sorry. This is very dear to me and my club. We feel it is in the best interest of cricket as well. Most people are saying that we haven't played much cricket, but cricket is about to start. Cricket is about to start. We need cricket. The Bermuda Cricket Board has also spoken to the clubs, particularly St. George's Cricket Club, and we're willing to give up Saturdays so we can have trial matches throughout the month of July. Most times, we only have one trial match. So the fact of saying that we will not be playing any cricket is false. Cricket can be played. We need cup match. Bermuda needs cup match. So George's Cricket Club was hoping that we could bring everything together, because the last 16 months Bermuda have been crying for events, crying for those events. I've heard the public say, we've had all these international events and all our local events have been cancelled. Now we, as a club and as a community, were looking to bring the biggest local event in our calendar. We were looking to bring that to the people. If we were thinking about St. George's Cricket Club, I can guarantee we would not have hosted cup match. The work that goes into cup match, the dedication that goes into providing, we're away from our families 24 hours a day sometimes. So this was totally for the people of Bermuda. Totally, Bermuda needs cup match. The clubs are the pillar of their communities, and we as a club, like every other club, have a commitment to our communities to ensure that we do the right things to bring everyone together. We are the hosts. We're the hosts of Cup Match. We knew that we can put this game on today. I mean, on July 28th and let me see, 29th and 30th. We knew that we can put it on. Our members were confident that we can put it on. I myself have over 30 years of experience in running Cup Match and being a part of Cup Match. And with these teams that I have, I can reassure Bermuda that it would have been a stellar event. In reference to how many people that we were allowed at the event, government, as of now, have allowed us to have 4,000 people. There are some out there saying that we were only going to have 2,000. We had to put plans in place on our own, and we were basing it on 2,500 with the intent of getting up to the maximum number that we can as we lead up to the event. The island is about to open up. We're about to free. What is about freedom? Celebration of freedom. Why, as a people, are we taking the freedom away from ourselves? We cannot. Government, we cannot be able. St. George's Cricket Club. We were willing to have government, and we're willing, ready, and able. Thank you.
The first question would be, obviously, with your last remark. If there was an opportunity to have a Cup Match, would you still be willing to do it?
As it stands right now, some are not willing to come to St. George's. I will not speak to the future because as we plan for the future was taken away. So as it stands now, unfortunately, we cannot have a Cup Match, but we do have some time left.
Neil, by the time to Royal Gazette, question I have is concerning the comment from Somerset Cricket Club as it pertains to withdrawing. The question was asked, were they be forced to give up the cup, and they said there's no clause in the rules governing the event. Can you kindly elaborate on that?
We do have the Cup Match rules which were amended in 2019, which we were assisted by the Bermuda Cricket Umpires Association in amending those rules. And there are some guidelines which some are aware of, and St. George's is looking at all their options at this time.
So, my question directly now, is there any possibility?
There are clauses in there,
right,
that speak to the fact if no one shows up.
So can you?
I will not elaborate further on that at this time.
So is there a possibility that they may have to be, they may be forced to relinquish the cup?
Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Yes. Also, the second question, obviously it's a joint venture between both clubs. No club can make any unilateral decision. Bit surprising that Somerset came out with an independent statement when the expectation would have been obviously that there would have been a joint statement on this, which suggests obviously there's not no unity there in that solidarity in that disposition we're in.
Well, last year, when Somerset made the decision to cancel Cup Match, we supported the decision on the basis that they are the host, and they were not in a position to put on an action. So we supported that. St. George's Cricket Club, we're in a position to host under all the regulations and guidelines, safety protocols, sponsors in place, ready to sponsor us for sponsoring the event at Cup Match. And Somerset made the decision that they didn't want to show up. So to answer your question, we were ready to host Cup Match. Somerset were not willing to participate.
Question, have you had talks with the Somerset president, and what were those kind of conversations?
Oh yes, Sean, right after they made the decision. Very good. I have nothing against Sean. This is not against Sean. He's the leader of Somerset Cricket Club. His members gave him a directive, and he had to relay that. So our talks are very cordial. No, we're fine. He finds as well. They're in a very unfortunate position in reference to not wanting to play. And as the president, he has to relay that information to St. George's Cricket Club. It's very unfortunate.
How did your members take the news that Somerset are declining to play this year?
Not very well. They're very upset. And it's not about who wins the cup. We need to understand this is an event. You know, cricket, although as sportsmen, we all want to win whatever game we play. As warriors, that's what happened. But this is an event that is bigger than the game itself. Bigger than the game. I say if Bermuda, if ICC were to call Bermuda and say that the tournament is brought forward to August 1st, and we haven't played any cricket up to now, what do? Do we not go into that tournament? Or do we start training and get ready so that we can give our best effort? And in going to that tournament, there are many things that could happen because sport is a funny game. We can do very well or we can do very poorly. But those are the challenges that sportsmen have. And as sportsmen, no sportsmen should deny themselves the right to represent the sport of their choice. And I say deny themselves.
The other question you mentioned about the attendance, there were provisions provisionally made to have as many as 4,000 spectators attend.
Correct.
Any other provisions in place that were in place you can divulge?
Just a normal COVID-19 protocols, you know, hand sanitizing, the way we would have had to put our plots out. Once people are in the grounds, they can move freely. Safety, obviously, the safety, ensuring that, you know, you had a COVID-19 test 72 hours, I believe, prior to the match. You don't have to be vaccinated. That's a personal choice. So this wasn't going to be a vaccine event. This was going to be a Bermuda event put on by Bermudians for Bermudians.
So if you were vaccinated, you had to provide a test result?
Yes.
From your observations, how has the cancellation impacted the St. George's community as a whole so far?
I will speak firstly from my committee, deflated. I can't even say how hard we have worked from January and particularly these last 3 weeks into trying to put something on for our country. In just speaking with people within our community, they're upset. You know, had the government said we can't have cup match, what do you think the outcry would be?
Last year, when Somerset canceled cup match, the two clubs talked about wanting people to get to know the history of the event and all of that around. What does St. George's plan to do now that kind of we're open, but there's no game on those 2 days?
At this point, we're just formulating some ideas. We've had some preliminary talks as a committee. As we move closer to the time, we will, if we plan on doing anything, then we will inform the public as soon as possible.
Going back to the matter of the cup, the trophy, possibly changing hands as a result of Somerset's actions. Is there, what can you tell us what's going on behind the scenes? Are you having meetings to discuss that? Both parties get together and discuss the rules, and or is it in the hands of legal professionals?
Right now, it's early days. We're as a committee just been discussing. We intend on meeting again the coming week, and from that, we will formulate any type of discussions that we would need to have with Somerset Cricket Club, or if we want to have those discussions. But from a legal, we have no legal minds or any lawyers looking into anything at this point. No, we have nothing to support that.
What about the concerns that they raised? Obviously, they said there were health issues, the fitness of the players, and then too many loose ends. There was nothing concrete in terms of what it was going to look like, you know, with the restrictions in place and whatnot. And of course, talking to you through this whole ordeal for quite some time now, there were so many loose ends and time was running out. I mean, it was crunch time, as you put it.
It was crunch time. We finally tightened those loose ends, which sounds very, very well. As we move through this pandemic, it has been an ever-changing revolving wheel when it comes to hosting cup match. The normal COVID-19 protocols was in. It was going to be a safe event. We are moving I wouldn't say we're moving out of a pandemic, but our island is slowly opening up. And so we were comfortable, and the government was comfortable that everything that we have put in place through some assistance from them, that government will be a safety net. Let's just be honest right now. Individuals talk about COVID-19 and it's serious, but some people are doing some things that, as if there's no pandemic. I would hate to see no club action. And all of those players, fans, and supporters at the non-practice. Let's just be honest. Supporting of the club action. That would be very unfortunate. We were putting on a safe event. The government was, who legislates things in reference to COVID-19, were very confident that what we put in place for Bermuda would be safe. Now, in reference to players, like I said, if you get called up to represent and be on the biggest stage, you will do everything in your power to ensure that you will be at your peak best. We have never heard about players being unfit in cup match. There have been a lot of players that have been unfit in cup match. Let's be real. There are some players that have done things the night before cup match, on the day of cup match, during cup match. So you're not going to tell me as a player that you're not ready to play cup match. This isn't character. This is serious. And if you don't want to be a part of it, this is a sad day. A sad day for Bermuda. And a sad day for us.
So with the rise back in March of the third wave of COVID-19 cases in Thailand going into the second lockdown, was there ever any doubt that there would not be a second cup match this year until last week?
Obviously, we have doubts as we move along. I think our main concern was that the government wasn't coming back to us with what we needed. That was our major concern. Not knowing what was required, not knowing if we had the exemption. So that was the only doubt that we had. We knew that if the island was open, college would be on. Well, I would just like to thank all the media here today, and also like to thank the general public who supported the decision that we made. I would only think that in all the divisions that we've had in this island after this pandemic, that at some point we come together and be true Bermudians and be unique to our heritage. Thank you.
Well, there you have it from the president of St. George's Cricket Club, Mr. Neil Paynter, finishing up his remarks regarding the annual Cup Match Classic not taking place this year. That's it from Island Stats. Do enjoy the rest of your day.